Morning, my friends, and thank you for joining. One of the great wonders in our world are those rope bridges that span across these chasms, across these deep valleys, from one cliff to another cliff. And the question, of course, is how do they create these bridges when they can't use scaffolding? We're talking about valleys that are hundreds and hundreds of feet deep. How do you create this bridge? How do you build it? And the answer is that they start by taking a tiny little thread, tying it to a projectile, and shooting the projectile from one side, one cliff to the other cliff. Once that little thread is attaching the two cliffs, is going from one cliff to the other cliff, they tie a slightly larger thread to that thread and slowly pull it along. And then to that slightly larger thread, they tie something a little bit larger, a little bit bigger, a little heavier, and so on and so forth until they're able to pull ropes across and slowly but surely create this entire rope bridge. And this, of course, is a great message in life. Sometimes we stand on one side, on one cliff, and we see where we want to go in life. We see what we want to achieve, and it looks like it's impossible. It looks like, how are we going to ever span this chasm? How are we going to span this distance? The job is so great. What has to be done and what has to be achieved is so much. And the answer is start with one small little deed. Start with one mitzvah. Don't stand there and just be overwhelmed and say, it's impossible, I can't, there's too much to be done. Start with one small little deed. And on that little deed, we'll add another little deed. And on that, we'll add another, and slowly but surely, we'll create something that is really amazing. And this is true about our own personal lives, it's true about family life, relationships. Sometimes we have to remember it starts with one little small deed. This is one of the great lessons of this week's Torah portion that speaks about the sacrifices and speaks about the importance of the small daily sacrifice. The Torah calls it continual, daily. It's the daily small acts, one upon another, that create the difference, that create the sanctuary for God. This is what we have to remember. Don't be overwhelmed by how great the job is, how much has to be done, how distant the goal is. Remember, it starts with one little deed, and on that we build another deed, and then another, and slowly but surely we can make a world of difference. Thank you for joining, and Shabbat Shalom.